Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Megan Flanagan. Megan is the owner of 609 Media, a social media marketing company. As an experienced, award-winning social media strategist and consultant, her work is focused on increasing customer engagement, brand awareness, and lead generation through organic strategies on social platforms. Check out more about Megan in the show notes. Episode is being sponsored by my morning accountability buddy for 2 years now, I think. We say we get up at like 5:30-ish. And so because she is sponsoring, if she was sitting in front of me right now and I said, Megan, what would you want me to talk about on today's episode since you're sponsoring it? And she would probably tell me to not sugarcoat anything and just let it all out. So is about. So I'm just going to give it to you straight. And if you're not okay with this or listen to tomorrow's episode, you do not have to continue to listen to this because it is a little tough love. Okay. So the number one thing that I'm going to say is that there are some things that I'm not going to sugarcoat that if you want to be successful. Now, this is not a client-facing business successful because you can be very successful and be very invisible with a client business, a client-based business where you truly are doing done for you or one-on-one services. But if you truly want to build your own thing, especially when it comes to one-to-many, here are some of my best pieces of advice that not everyone is going to love. Okay. Number one, you get to get uncomfortable. You will not grow without choosing the uncomfortable route. You will not grow without choosing discomfort. It is quite honestly beautiful and hard and not always fun, but I've been on a 365-day uncomfortable journey. I've done 100 uncomfortable things in 90 days. Like the visibility challenges that I've given myself, 100 live videos in 31 days, 200 live videos in 31 days. It has all been uncomfortable. You didn't leave a 9 to 5, right? I am assuming most of us didn't leave a 9 to 5 to literally be handed this business on a silver platter and say, you don't have to try. You don't have to do anything very hard. You just get to go out there and people are going to buy and it's going to be so easy. Most of us would get really bored with that. Like, I know, like, it sounds really good and it sounds amazing, but most of us would not be okay with that. Most of us would get very bored with that. We want a challenge. We are made to be challenged. We're made to have a passion and a purpose. And guess what? If everything is always easy, you do not learn, right, how to do the hard things. I said this before. My son went to college. He never studied, ever had to study in high school. Everything came so easy to him. And when he got to college, it was like a different world. He was not prepared. He was not prepared because he never felt challenged in high school. We get to prepare ourselves every single day as a business owner. Literally, you are not going to become a business owner and, well, you might, but most of us becoming a business owner is the greatest personal development journey we will ever go on. It is not made to be easy. It's not. It's not for everyone. Everyone, unfortunately, is not made to be a business owner. And that's okay too. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. It sucks sometimes. But the thing I have learned that is the more that I push myself to be uncomfortable, the more I push myself to do the challenging things, to take risks and things like that. Guess what? The hard things don't seem as hard as they used to. The hard things don't seem as difficult as they used to. But most people are not willing to get uncomfortable. I used to be that way. I was in love. I was obsessed with my comfort zone. That's why I wouldn't get visible in my first business. I had no desire. I was obsessed with my comfort zone. It was the favorite thing. And I wanted to stay there. And I didn't want to get out of it. And so it was, really, really hard for me to get on video. The next thing that most people don't want to hear, and first of all, I am saying this more to new business owners or business owners who haven't had success, is consistent and consistently visible. Like 99% of the struggles that people have when they come to me is that they struggle being consistent. Unfortunately, no, fortunately, we get to be consistent. You cannot do something one time and expect results. You cannot do something 3 times and expect results. And consistency also has a lot to do with, and the uncomfortable thing is going to come in here too, is stop expecting instant gratification. It does not happen. It's called, we get to stand in our personal power. We get to stand and understand that we do not need validated. We validate ourselves. We validate ourselves from the transformation and from the embodiment of everything that we're teaching that we're actually already doing, because we would never teach something that we hadn't had success with, or at least we shouldn't. Your success, your client's success are the same. However, embody what you're teaching. Don't tell other people what to do if you're not willing to do it. And that's a big realization for a lot of people. You know, I've been visible, consistently visible since 2018. There are moments that I get off track and I'm not visible. Guess what happens? Things get quiet. I get quiet. Things get quiet. And I get to push myself again and be like, okay, Chrissy, you're starting to enjoy this not being on video a little bit too much. It's time to get back on it, girl. And then I get back on it. And then it starts to be easy again. And then you know what happens? I'm consistent. And then you know what happens? It's too easy. Push yourself. Get more vulnerable. Do a longer video. Get more uncomfortable with your video. Show your emotions. Talk about something you've never talked about before. Talk about one of your deep, dark secrets that you overcame. Like, be vulnerable with your audience. Like, there is always another layer that we can work on when it comes to visibility, when it comes to consistent action, when it comes to any of those things. But again, unfortunately, most people are not willing to do that. We get comfortable in the consistent day in and day out actions, and we don't do anything else. Well, it's like going to the gym. If I lift a 2-pound weight for the rest of my life, am I going to see results? No, I'm not. I got to have some pain. I got to have some uncomfortableness. I got to have a sore body the next day, right? So it's like, are you willing, again, to get uncomfortable? Are you willing to get visibly, consistently uncomfortable? Are you also willing to take risks? And yes, uncomfortable, taking risks, but also understanding that whether I take a risk or not, I'm going to be okay. I might fail. I'm going to be okay. Because I also might succeed. And I'm going to be okay either way. I'm solid with myself either way. I'm going to win in every situation. So therefore, it does not matter what happens when I take this risk. I'm solid with me. I win in every situation. I'm not going to let that fear stop me. Yes, we are all scared when we do things. We're uncomfortable, right? That's a scary thing too. But the question is, are you going to have enough courage, right, to go ahead and do it anyhow? To my knowledge, we're not going to die over being consistent. We're not going to die over getting on video. Like, those things are not going to happen. It might feel like it. And trust me, back in the day, it felt like it because I thought I was going to hyperventilate. But I pushed through and I did it anyhow. And every time I give myself some crazy challenge that I'm going to get uncomfortable and I'm going to push myself, I'm done. And I'm like, what's next? What's next? You know, it's very interesting. Every July, I do a challenge, and I completely know that not everybody is going to finish the challenge. Number one, what happens is everybody starts out really, really strong. People fall off, and we forget that when we fall off, it's actually harder to come back sometimes. A comeback is hard. Admitting that you fell off, it's easier to hide and shrink. But this year we did a comeback award because I was like, listen, it happens and it's uncomfortable. Sometimes admitting I fell off track, but I'm coming back and I'm going to finish this strong. Consistency and uncomfortable actions do not need to look perfect. Just like every other part of our life, they are very imperfect. If you fall off track, if you become inconsistent, can you acknowledge that? Give yourself grace, which is also uncomfortable for a lot of us, right? And then decide, hey, I'm back at it, one day at a time. I'm in. I'm all in 100%. Even if that looks different every single day, I'm in. I'm back at it, and I'm here to do this. Running a business is not easy. Growing a business is not easy. Scaling a business is not easy. Reaching milestones like 5K months and 10K months and 15K months and 20K months or whatever your milestone is, or getting more like a certain number of people, or just being able to live a life of freedom where you don't have to worry about like finances and time and your calendar being booked up. Whatever your goal is, it is not going to be easy to achieve. However, here's what I can say. Out of all the uncomfortable actions that I've ever done and all the consistent actions that I've done and pushing myself to get on video and all of these things, I have never and never will regret pushing myself, taking risks, and going like stretching myself to the uncomfortable measures that I've done. Never regretted it. Again, I'm solid with myself. Whether I win or not by doing the uncomfortable action or taking that risk doesn't matter, because I'm solid with myself and I win in every situation. And I think that is truly what has helped me with so much of my uncomfortable actions. Also, I'm a 3-5 line. We fail like a heck of a lot more than most people. We're meant to fail more and teach more. So it's totally in my human design, which I didn't even know about until like 2 years ago. But I failed a lot. Failure doesn't scare me. Success doesn't scare me either. So the question is, what's holding you back from being uncomfortable? What's holding you back from taking risks? What's holding you back from being consistent? What's holding you back from getting visible? If I had it to do all over again, I'm 100% happy with my journey. It is my journey and it's what it was meant to be. But if I had to do all over again, yes. Would I tell baby Chrissy, get consistently visible and start getting uncomfortable right now? Don't play it safe. Yes, I would 100%. But I had to learn on my own. So I'm giving you that message now, that if things feel redundant, if things feel like blah or meh every single day, if you feel like you live in Groundhog Day, if you feel like you're not getting the results that you want, if you feel like your business should be so much further ahead than it is, this, my friend, is your invitation to start getting consistently uncomfortably visible. I'm using all three words together because it is so important and vital as you grow the business of your dreams, as you grow the goals that you want, as you create the life of freedom, which I hope that you want, whether that's financial freedom or time freedom or a combination of both or location freedom. These things matter. And guess what? The more you do it, the less scary they seem, the less you're afraid to do anything. And the other thing is that it doesn't even feel like I do scary things anymore. Yes, I do them so often. I push myself so often and I make decisions so fast and I don't look back, that it just becomes a part of your life. And even though it isn't easy, it's easier than it was 2 years ago. It's easier than it was a year ago because I've just done it so much. It's just part of who I am. It's part of my growth. It's part of my trajectory. This is a longer podcast episode than I normally do, so I'm going to leave it there. What can you do to get more consistent? What can you do to take bigger risks and to get more uncomfortable? What can you do to get more visible? All of them play a part in your business and in your growth journey and getting the results and reaching the goals that you want. It is always under your control, and it doesn't mean you have to step out tomorrow and do all three of them. But what can you start doing today? What's one baby step that is uncomfortable for you to do right now in this moment? And then we habit stack on top of that. Let's get consistent with one thing, right? And then let's add something on top of it. And watch your growth excel. It's not going to happen overnight. Like, I believe everything we do in a 90-day period, we see the results in the following 90 days. But are you willing to stick with something for 90 days without seeing results, without instant gratification, without validation? Because deep down inside, you win in every situation and you validate yourself, and you don't need anybody else to do that for you. That's my question for you tonight. And as you listen to this podcast episode, and if you ever need support with any of this, reach out, because I want everyone to experience this and to live the life that they've dreamed of.